It's common courtesy to remove your feet, bag, or coat from an empty seat when public transportation becomes crowded and another passenger needs a place to sit. However, this is something one teen learned the hard way. The LAPD taught her a painful lesson, but some have since put the officer on blast. Did he go too far? Before we continue, please take some time to subscribe to Dailydose, like, and share this video with your friends. Bethany Nava was riding the Metro Red Line train when a police officer, enforcing the passenger code of conduct that prohibits feet on seats, asked her to get off, according to the LA Times. Almost immediately, someone began to record the interaction between Nava and the LAPD sergeant. At the beginning of the clip, you hear the officer asking the 18-year-old to leave the train and motioning for her to stand up. "I already told you what to do and you didn't. You disobeyed me. You're getting off the train," the officer told the teen, who apparently refused to remove her feet from the seat to allow other passengers, some of whom were elderly, to sit down. Sadly, the entitled girl again refused to comply with the officer's demands. That's when things took a turn. The Los Angeles police officer grabbed Nava's arm and began to pull her from the train. "Stop, let me go," she insisted. "I paid to be on this train," she protested further. "You're pulling me off the train. I can't get my stuff," she added, as she continued to resist the LAPD officer, who forcibly dragged her off the public transportation by her arm. After Nava was removed from the city's subway, the officer pinned her against the platform wall. Daily Mail reported, "This is not fair that you took me off the train because I had my foot there because I was comfortable like that," she whined, after calling the officer an asshole. As others gathered around, she began to cry. Bystanders, claiming it's not a big deal, begged the officer not to do this, as Nava continued to resist, and the cop was forced to call for backup. "Everything is on camera," someone warned the officer as Nava began to whimper. "Are you kidding me right now?" another woman swore at the officer. "There is no law that tells me that I cannot sit that way because I paid to be in there," Nava insisted. But the officer was quick to correct her as he replied, "It's the rules of the train." Not to mention, it's common decency since the train was crowded with people standing, unable to find an empty seat. With an audience on her side, the once whimpering 18-year-old began cursing at the officer again. The other woman, later identified as 22-year-old Selena Lechuga, quickly joined in. "You think you can do this?" Lechuga demanded after encouraging others to get the officer's badge number. "Asshole!" she called the officer, continuing to hurl expletives at him. The group that gathered continued to heckle the cop. "Are you kidding me? You really have nothing to do," Lechuga said, as the women continued to argue with the officer on the platform. Then, Lechuga threw the race card, accusing the officer of picking on Nava to meet his monthly arrest quota and saying she wouldn't leave because she was going to stand up for her people. Eventually, other officers arrived and handcuffed both Nava and Lechuga, who continued swearing as they were taken into custody. This is racism. This is what we are, 2018. Like this want to just try to act like they can do whatever they want. "F you guys," yelled Lechuga, who appeared to then spit at an officer. Nava's mother later told KTLA that the high school senior was taken to a hospital with a sprained wrist and claimed that her daughter only had her heel on the edge of her own seat. However, her daughter contradicted those remarks in another interview. Even so, she sued, and because of her allegations, the LAPD was conducting a use-of-force investigation regarding Nava's arrest and reviewing all the videos captured of the incident. According to Metro's 28-page customer code of conduct, Nava was in the wrong. The rules state that placing feet or shoes on seats or furnishings is prohibited disorderly conduct. What's more, it also says such conduct may be penalized with ejection from the train. Even so, outrage ensued over the officer's actions, with some saying he went too far since they viewed the teen's behavior as such a small infraction. Those who think Bethany Nava's behavior was no big deal should be asked if they want to sit where she's put her dirty shoes. Many ride public transportation wearing expensive office attire. They shouldn't have to sit in filth from the shoes of a teen who thinks her comfort is more important than anyone else's. Rather than defending her daughter, perhaps the girl's mother should teach her some simple life lessons. First, have some manners. In public, keep your feet on the floor, not on someone else's furniture. And when a police officer gives you a lawful order, comply. Bethany Nava's story didn't end there, and the controversy surrounding her removal from the train continued to spark debate on social media and in public forums. Critics of the police officer's actions argued that the force used was excessive for such a minor infraction. They claimed that the officer could have handled the situation differently, perhaps by issuing a warning or a fine instead of physically removing Nava from the train. Videos of the incident went viral, with many people expressing outrage over the perceived brutality of the police officer. Supporters of the officer, on the other hand, argued that Nava's blatant disregard for public transportation rules and her disrespectful attitude warranted a firm response. They pointed out that maintaining order and cleanliness on public transport is essential for the comfort and safety of all passengers. Allowing one person to flout the rules sets a bad precedent and can lead to further disorder. As the investigation into the incident progressed, more details emerged. Witnesses came forward with their accounts, some corroborating Nava's story, while others supported the officer's actions. The LAPD faced significant scrutiny, with calls for improved training on handling such situations and ensuring that officers use appropriate force levels. The incident also sparked a broader conversation about the role of law enforcement in enforcing public behavior and the expectations placed on citizens to adhere to societal norms. It highlighted the delicate balance between maintaining public order and respecting individual rights. Some suggested that public education campaigns on proper behavior in shared spaces, like public transportation, could help prevent similar incidents in the future. Meanwhile, Bethany Nava and her family continued to pursue legal action against the LAPD. They sought compensation for her injuries and demanded changes in how such cases are handled. Advocacy groups joined their cause, emphasizing the need for accountability and transparency in law enforcement. The case eventually made its way to court, where both sides presented their arguments. Nava's legal team argued that her rights were violated and that the officer's actions were disproportionate to her behavior. They called for policy changes to ensure that similar incidents would be handled more appropriately in the future. The LAPD defended their officer's actions, stating that he followed protocol and that Nava's resistance escalated the situation. They argued that maintaining strict adherence to public transportation rules is crucial for the safety and comfort of all passengers. In the end, the court's decision would have lasting implications for how similar cases are handled in the future. It would set a precedent for the balance between enforcing public conduct rules and respecting individual rights. Regardless of the outcome, the incident served as a stark reminder of the importance of civility and respect in shared spaces and the challenges faced by those tasked with maintaining public order. As the debate continued, one thing remained clear: the need for mutual respect and understanding in public spaces is more critical than ever. Whether through better education, more effective enforcement, or a combination of both, society must find ways to ensure that everyone can coexist peacefully and respectfully in shared environments.